Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Wednesday, July 1st. June gone. See you next year, June. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. The good news is it's going to be like a nice fall, crisp, cool day. Oh, wait a second. Oh, that was last year's script. I'm sorry. Here's meteorologist Mike Favetta with the actual forecast near you. Hi, Mike.
Ugh. Hi, Ken. Yeah, it's gonna be rough today, especially just headed outside trying to enjoy some of the beautiful sun that's around. So much heat and humidity combined. And today is one of the first days I think we'll reach 100 in many parts of New Jersey with that heat lasting right through Saturday. So here we are, middle of the week, and we have so many more days of this hot weather ahead, especially as we head to the end of the week. So with the record highs yet again forecast for today, heading into tomorrow, probably extending those record highs right down to the coast, anticipating a really, really hot stretch of weather. And it's all the same system that's parked across the southeast, giving us that warm southwesterly wind and allowing temperatures to skyrocket today under the mostly sunny sky. So it remains warm and dry. Humid, yes, but not anticipating any rainfall. Even as we head into Friday, watching this front, which might deliver a few showers, but still into Saturday, it's going to remain very warm. So the cold front that works on through allows all of that heat to continue with dangerous levels of heat arriving into tomorrow. We'll tell you all about it coming up with another check of your forecast, Ken, in a few minutes.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Nice, comfy weather. That's what I keep
Yeah,
convincing
right.
myself that Mike just said nice, comfy weather. And as long as I keep saying that to myself, I feel better. It doesn't take much. Thanks, Mike. 2 minutes after right now, and please forgive me. I am fighting. Here's the whiny boy fighting the grips of a cold. My mother would say, "Oh, well, you just shut up. You could never have a child." Yeah, that's right. Correct. It is 72 degrees right now, northern New Jersey. It is 71 in Trenton, in Los Angeles, 64 degrees, 65 in San Diego. In terms of traffic, we do have a lot of it already. We have a downpour reported Route 130, and this is impacting traffic at the intersection with Browning Road in Pennsauken. All lanes are currently closed. Over to Route 46, we have another down pole. This one impacting traffic in both directions there, east of I-80 in Parsippany Troy Hills, and that is closing all lanes. So I guess that would be it right there. We're thinking that we just spotted that. That looks like there's something there with the truck. I think it's probably right behind that, based on where the exit number is. I think it is right behind that because it's at the intersection with 46. It's near there. So I'm thinking right before, on the other side. Anyway, we'll double check that. And then we check the Hudson River crossings right now. It says the Lincoln is 30 minutes in. Holland Tunnel, which is Route 78, from Route 78 on Route 139 into the tunnel right now, is reported 35 minutes. And the GWB upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach, you can see it's moving, but crawling, and that's going to cost you 35 minutes in. Over to Los Angeles, we have a traffic collision reported South LA at Route 91 at Santa Fe Avenue. There is a crash also on Route 14 at Soledad Canyon Road, and a collision, and that was in Newhall, by the way, and then one in East LA at Route 60 and San Gabriel Boulevard. Congressman Tom Kean Jr. revealed depression after 4 months of unexplained congressional absence. He said he was hospitalized and treated under doctors' recommendations. Kean described depression as a powerful physical and emotional illness. I should ask Pam, do we have sound from the good congressman? Oh, we don't. Okay. Well, Kane described depression, which is what he said he suffered from, as a powerful physical and emotional illness. He missed over 100 House votes during his absence. Republicans say his absence complicated narrow House majority operations. He says he is now healthier and ready to return to work. I think, just as an aside, everybody wishes him well. The problem is, if you have a personal illness, no matter what it is, you have to come forward and share when you want to be an elected official. Look at Senator Fetterman. He had a stroke. Senator Fetterman had a stroke. He came forward and told everybody every step of the way. And the Republicans were demanding that he resign. He did not, because he came public and proved himself along the way. Now, I understand that Congressman Kane uh, was severely depressed. That is a serious thing. having an emotional illness like that. And I mean it when I say I'm not throwing it away. God bless him. I wish he is 100% healed. And it's going to be an ongoing process for the congressman. But maybe this is not what the pressure he needs at this point in his life. Depression is a chemical illness and it has to be treated. But when you disappear for 4 months, that doesn't help either side. This impacts people's lives, this office, in a major way. So that's important. If he were a doctor and he had to step away, another doctor would be able to step in and do his role. As a congressman, nope, he steps away. That's it. So think about that. It is 5 minutes past, and the U.S. Supreme Court announced its final decisions of the year yesterday. In one case, the court decided states do have the right to decide whether to prevent biologically born boys from competing as trans girls in sports. And in what was probably the biggest decision of the season, birthright citizenship, the Supreme Court ruled that anyone physically born on U.S. soil is de facto, like you have no choice, even if you don't want to be, which really makes you scratch your head about that, about the value of being a citizen. If you exit your mother's womb on property that is part of the United States, you're automatically fully a citizen. Even if your mother comes from a country that hates the US, goes back to that country with you as an infant, you join jihad and you come back to the United States, you could not only attack the country, but you could even become president. Because according to this Supreme Court, to Justice Roberts, who never likes to upset the apple cart because he's feckless. Look up the term feckless. Justice Roberts, who has been caught on audio saying that he doesn't like to upset people, he doesn't like the court to be viewed in a certain way. So this was right down the middle. And Justice Roberts went ahead and sided with the liberal side. And what did that do? That ended up, and Justice, by the way, uh, Justice Coney Barrett is another disappointment. And here, I'm going to say something that sounds as sexist as hell. Every woman whom the Republicans appoint to the Supreme Court because they want to look magnanimous, we want to show that we're a party of inclusion. Every time we appoint a woman to the Supreme Court, the woman who's appointed to the Supreme Court gets more liberal. It's happened now several times in history. Every time the Republicans do that, the woman becomes more liberal over time. So, rather than trying to look like you're the magnanimous ones, why don't you just look at somebody's voting record, whether they be a woman or a man, makes no difference, and pay attention to how they vote over time. And that's how you appoint somebody to the Supreme Court. Okay, just saying. Anyway, it does say in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, it says people born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. What does that mean? That means if you are subject to the jurisdiction of another country, how could you be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States? You can't be a full-time citizen of two countries. Oh, what about dual citizenship? Dual citizenship is a whole other animal. Whole other animal. If you were a dual citizen of Italy and the United States and there was a war, you wouldn't have to go join the military in Italy if you're living in the United States. Dual citizenship is 50-50. We're talking 100-100. Okay. Now this opens a can of worms that the court, whether they thought about it or not, it's now open because now you have people who there will be, in case they remedy this in Congress, and this Congress is as wishy-washy as could be. Some are saying it has to be remedied. Of course, the liberals are saying this, that it can only be remedied with a with an amendment to the Constitution. About 100 legal scholars said no, that's not the case. You can define what subject to the jurisdiction thereof means. See, that's not clearly defined in the Constitution. But if you make it precedent to define what subject to the jurisdiction thereof means, now you could put on its head the entire definition of this. There are about 2 or 3 liberals who are saying no, that doesn't count because the Supreme Court has said subject to the jurisdiction means when you're born in the U.S., you are subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. How about parents who come here who are on a cruise ship and the cruise ship stops in the port and the mother gives birth early? She doesn't want her kid to be an American. She's from France. She doesn't like America. Let's just say child is now automatically American, even though the mother doesn't want the child to be an American, just by virtue of where she happens to be at that moment. That's ridiculous. Anyone with half a brain cell would say no, because that actually forces you to be an American, whether you want to be or not. So just think about that. and how ridiculous that court decision is. This court decision originally in the 1800s was meant to legalize people who were slaves so that they become US citizens. Then it was extended to Native Americans. It had nothing to do with somebody who, by happen chance, your mother gives birth while happening to touch US soil with their toe. That's not what this was about. And this cheapens citizenship for all of us, especially for African Americans, for whom this was a gift, a way of America saying, I'm sorry for treating you with such disrespect. You are now a full fledged citizen. That's what this was for. And now what we're saying is, oh, even though African Americans, even though you were ripped from Africa and brought here against your will, we're going to give that same citizenship that we were going to give to you to a total stranger just because they happen to be walking over a 10-foot strip of what was US soil and they got here yesterday. That's really disgusting. And if you really think about it, in fact, Justice Jackson should really think about that because that's what it does to the of the United States. Very sad time. Very sad time. And Justice Roberts has got to go. Get rid of him. Iran and Oman proposed charging ships fees in the Strait of Hormuz. The strait is a critical global shipping route for oil. Of course, the U.S. has already said that's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Officials dispute whether payments would be voluntary or mandatory. Who would voluntarily pay a couple of $1 million to go through? Yeah, here's a couple of million. Negotiations continue over long-term control and management of the waterway. There is no negotiation. The U.S. said it's international, and so does China and Russia. So I don't know who these individuals are saying it's subject to discussion. There is no subject. If it's subject to discussion, Iran is going to get nuked. It's as simple as that. Aid groups warned yesterday that Venezuela's fragile socialized healthcare system is being pushed to its limits nearly a week after two powerful earthquakes with damage and understaffed hospitals getting overwhelmed by the injured. Over 1,900 confirmed dead, 5,000 hurt, 50,000 missing, 16,000 homeless. Many of those displaced are in the hardest hit state of La Guaira, just outside the capital of Caracas, along the coast, where they are suffering from widespread food shortages. Excuse me as I cough. Without access to toilets, showers, or soap, displaced Venezuelans have also become increasingly vulnerable to the outbreak of preventable diseases like measles, given the population's low vaccination rate. They really can use help at this point. And in Arkansas, they will ban SNAP purchases of candy and soda. Governor Sanders cited rising obesity, diabetes, and chronic disease concerns. Governor Sanders herself lost, I think, 20, 30, 40 pounds herself. So she's putting her money where her mouth is. The state proceeds rather, despite a federal judge blocking similar programs. Arkansas received a federal waiver to restrict sugary food purchases. Retailers and beneficiaries face major implementation challenges nationwide. Can you tell somebody who is on welfare that they can't use their EBT card for what they want? And the whole point here, under Obama, this wasn't an issue. When Michelle Obama outlawed basically certain foods in schools, everyone said, oh, she's just trying to look out for the kids. When the Trump administration wants to do it, oh, they're evil. It's just, if Trump saved an infant from choking on Fifth Avenue, somehow they would find something evil in that. Just is what it is. Four men were charged in a Connecticut ATM jackpotting scheme. They allegedly stole over $500,000 from machines. Hackers used hardware or malware to force ATM cash withdrawals. The thefts occurred across multiple locations along I-95, surveillance showing coordinated roles, including looking out and accessing ATMs. The FBI reports jackpotting incidents are increasing nationwide and quite a bit. Hey, are you a fan of LeBron James? He is leaving the Lakers after 8 seasons. The decision comes ahead of NBA free agency's opening. The Lakers praised his legacy and 2020 championship run. He completed his 23rd NBA season with strong performance stats. His son Bronny does remain under contract with the Lakers. James will continue his career with a new team next season, and rumor has it he is going to the Golden State Warriors. Pretty cool. And only 38% of non-homeowners can afford starter homes. Starter homes are defined as roughly $200,000. Income gaps make homeownership difficult for many households. They have the monthly payment, they just don't have the down payment. Some states show far worse affordability than others nationwide. Southern states offer higher affordability rates for buyers. In other words, you can get a better deal for a bang for your buck in southern states. Studies warn that housing shortages limit wealth building opportunities. It is now 15 minutes past the hour. When we come back, Independence Day weekend down the shore with a fundraising twist. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Wednesday. It is the 1st of July. We already went right through June. Excuse the cold. I'm Ken Rosato, live in New Jersey and New York. Now we welcome our friends in Los Angeles and Florida at 17 minutes past the hour. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta. Nothing is worse, well, few things are worse than a summertime cold. And
Yeah, it's
there
it's
you
a doozy. Mm-hmm.
but here and aside from that, I I whine a lot because I'm good for that. Did you have you ever been a fan of the fried McDonald's apple pie?
I've tried it, yeah.
Okay, so McDonald's for a limited time only. McDonald's has the fried apple pie back. So
Wow.
I made a run the other day and I ordered 10, and they
What do
gave
you
me a
do with
look
10
like,
apple
"What?"
pies?
You eat two of them right away, and you eat two of them a couple hours later. And you put a few of them in a plastic baggie
Yes.
in the fridge, and you reheat them in the oven so they're not soggy. Does that help?
Yes. Well, you
Then,
could just ask for them frozen, I guess, and make them yourself.
well, yeah, right. But here's the funny thing: they came out with the fried apple pie as because we were health conscious. You know, the fried apple pie is 10 calories less than the baked apple pie. It's actually less fattening. But
Go
because
figure.
we were in a kick in the early 90s to get rid of everything fried and fat. Remember, we replaced it with
Yeah.
high carb stuff, and everybody got
Mm.
fat as a result. So now they're trying to go back to fried pies again because they make it with beef tallow, which is actually not as bad as we thought. So anyway,
Hmm.
I defer to you.
No, that sounds
Go
that
get
sounds
some beef
amazing.
tallow.
You know, a hot apple pie may not be something what you want today. The cool ice cream perhaps could be something to stay cool because with this extreme heat that extends up and down the East Coast, even out into the Midwest, it's this really hot, almost like dog's breath air when you step outside over the next few days. I mean, the only saving grace is that the pollen is a little bit lower for trees, grasses, and weeds at the moderate level, but it will remain very warm, especially as that heat keeps on down, pumping in over the next several days. It's also relatively dry rain-wise. We might get a quick passing shower on Friday evening, but beyond that, Saturday looks dry. Sunday could have a passing shower, and then into Monday, that's our next chance of some rain. So way down the road into the longer range forecast, that is our next opportunity to see some wet weather. It's all due to this big high that is sitting down to our south, pushing in all of that warm air and keeping any fronts from coming near us to provide that cooling relief until we head into the weekend. And even still, it's going to take some time to move through. That's why most of the weekend should be a little bit warmer to start before we see that cooler effect later on. We'll talk more about the futurecast. Had a few showers last night across northern New Jersey. That's why I wake up this morning. Might see some raindrops on the car top. All those details, including how hot it gets over the next few days, coming up in the next few minutes, Ken.
Thank you very much. Being that it's summertime and this is when the group used to tour a lot, do you remember, of course, the Village People? And
Mm-hmm.
remember that guy, his first name was Victor. What's his last name? Victor Willis. Victor Willis. He was the cop in the Village People. Unfortunately, he just passed.
Oh,
74, was very, very young. But being a back in the day, back in my day, as a young gay man walking around Greenwich Village, they were sort of heroes. Mike's like, why is this becoming a saga? But nonetheless, and by the way, do you know that I believe only one member of the Village People was the actual member? They were all like rotating actors. And I
huh.
believe that one member was the only one who was actually gay. All the rest of them were just heterosexual actors who played a part. A lot of little trivia about the Village People. A lot of
This
people
is
don't
like
know.
Ken's Tales. This is cool.
There you go. That's all I got. I got nothing else. That's it. You just saw it all. Mike, thank you, sir. We'll check back with you. 73 degrees right now, northern New Jersey and in Trenton. And a 4th of July tradition is returning to the Jersey Shore, the Jersey Shore where you want to be right now because it's going to be so hot. Combining a fireworks display with an important community cause. Family fireworks on the. Now, we can pronounce this two ways. I believe the formal way is the Navasink, but I think a lot of people call it the Navasink. We'll confirm. Family Fireworks on the Navasink returns this Friday, July 3rd, which you can watch from Middletown or Red Bank, depending on which side you want to be on, raising funds to support the renovation of Hackensack Meridian Riverview Medical Center's Emergency Care Center. Kenny Esser is the interim president and chief hospital executive of Riverview Medical Center. We say good morning to you, Kenny.
Hey, good morning, Ken. Good to be here.
Like, nice to have you. Do they pronounce it more Navasink or Navasink? Because I keep hearing both. Which is it?
Honestly, I hear Navasink a lot more than Navasink, but I'm not here to
Me
judge.
too. Me
Yeah.
too. That's the way I've always pronounced it. And somebody wrote me on social media yesterday and said, no, it's Navasink. And I'm like, okay. It's the same people who talk about Secaucus and Secaucus. You could get into a fight and the gravy versus sauce thing. Let's not even get into that. All right. You're living in New Jersey, you could end up sleeping with the fishes. Anyway, family fireworks on the Navasink has become a cherished community tradition. It's first of all a beautiful river, beautiful community. Red Bank is just gorgeous, and it's just what a perfect place to have that Middletown. And what makes this event so special this year?
I mean, this year we're raising funds for a very important cause. We're going through a transformational renovation and expansion of our emergency department. As needs continue to grow around the community in Red Bank and all of our communities in the area, we need to grow with them to accommodate our friends, family, and neighbors. It includes more patient rooms, treatment bays, dedicated spaces for things like trauma care, diagnostic imaging, and a secured crisis unit. The $60+ million project is set to be completed in 2028. Work's already started on it. It's fully funded through philanthropy. So events like this are really important to make sure that we get over the line. We're about $6 million short, so we're hoping with events like this and some others we plan for the rest of the year that we'll get that over the line. And I think it's going to be a phenomenal project and something that the community certainly deserves and is well needed.
Well, that's massive to have all the funding shy of 6 million. And it's good to let the last 6 million come from the community because then the community feels it's their hospital. And that's the way it really should be. Hospitals were like what churches were in the middle of town 300 years ago. It was sort of the community's property. And that's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing. Especially, I mean, you have a great hospital there now. I can only imagine when you have your new emergency center, how amazing it's going to be. And that's so important when you have a community like Red Bank that was kind of the smaller getaway vacation community years ago. But since the pandemic, it's exploded in population, hasn't it?
100%. And with Netflix coming in, it'll continue to do so. I think what I love about our hospital is that it's really a hospital where the community is taking care of the community. But we're not just an average community hospital either. I mean, we pack a mighty punch, I like to say. And, I think we've got a lot of ambition and we're doing some amazing things here. And, I'm really proud to be part of it.
Thinking about it now, for people who are in like South Jersey and whatnot, if there was an emergency, they have to be medevac to Philadelphia or whatever. I mean, you guys are going to be the epicenter of emergency hospitals, likely for the region, once this is all done. Not that you weren't a great hospital before, but talk about the upgrades to emergency care that you're going to have there.
Yeah, it really just takes us to another level. I mean, I think the last time we renovated the ED, it was about 25 years ago. And so with this, we're going to have massive expansion. We're going to be able to bring in more of those imaging capabilities, but we're also going to have that secure crisis unit as we continue to see demand for those sorts of services grow. And then, we've got to look at what's next for the hospital. We get this ED project done, and we need to continue to make sure we're making investments and continuing to grow with the community and making sure that we stay on the bleeding edge of where hospital care and innovation is happening, and that's what we're committed to.
So now the fundraiser is in kind of two parts, if you will. You have a private fundraising event that people pay to get into, right? Which is like a dinner in somebody's like a mansion. Let's just call it what it is, which is super elite. Where I'm guessing it costs a few bucks, but for the whole community, you got something really cool. You got the big fireworks for everybody to come and be part of it, because this is going to be everybody's hospital. So how does that community-wide celebration help support the mission?
Absolutely. So the good news is, Ken, that tickets and sponsorships are still available. The event takes place on Friday, July 3rd, as you mentioned. People go to our website, givehmh.org/RMC for Riverview Medical Center, RMC Fireworks. People can go and purchase tickets there. And if you can't attend the event, like you said, you can still enjoy it on the Middletown side or the Red Bank side of the river. And I honestly want to give heartfelt thanks to my good friends, Dominic and Hillary DiPiero, for opening their home for this incredible event. They've done it every year since 2013, including our COVID year. And it's just a wonderful event committee for all their hard work in making this possible, and all of our friends and family in the community. So it's a great event, and we hope a lot of people can come out and join us. Still tickets available.
That's so awesome. It's such a great area. A friend of mine compares Red Bank to Upper Montclair. It's sort of the beautiful, big, stately homes and just an elegant place. And it's really, especially post-pandemic, it's just become an amazing place. So may you make a fortune for the hospital, and may that emergency department just be perfect for that community. Family fireworks on the Navasink, scheduled to kick off this Friday, July 3rd, 9:15 p.m. for the fireworks, but the dinner is earlier than that. What is it, 6 o'clock, the dinner? 6:30. Okay, there you go. And it's near the Oceanic Bridge, by the way, for the fireworks. Great viewing from either Middletown or Red Bank. Kenny Esser, Interim President, Chief Hospital Executive of Hackensack Meridian Riverview Medical Center. Happy 4th. Thanks for coming on this morning. Come back, please, as you continue getting closer to completion of the ED.
Thanks so much for having me, Ken. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kenny. You bet, my friend. Thank you. It is now 28 minutes past the hour. When we come back, families spend the summer rushing from place to place, but our next guest suggests slowing things down could lead to a happier, healthier family relationship. Think about that. We're coming back in 2. A very good morning. It is 30 minutes past the hour, Wednesday, July 1st, 2026. If you were thinking, oh, I'll do that before the end of June, sorry. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast, now the West, with our new channel on LACA and our new channel also in Florida on FLA.com. So we welcome all our viewers there. Now, meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you. Once again, it will be hotter in New Jersey than it
Yeah.
will be in Fort Lauderdale and Miami Beach today.
This is true. This is true. Even places inland, we always say, well, Central Florida, where the theme parks are,
Mhm.
tend to get hotter.
Right.
No, it'll actually be hotter here. The humidity is warmer there, but still, with all of the heat and the humidity arriving here in New Jersey today, it's all with that southwesterly wind and loads of sunshine through this afternoon, helping temperatures feel like they're above 100 degrees. It even culminates in a hotter day tomorrow. Tomorrow is the warmest day this week, likely shattering records. And then as we head into Friday, a weak front tries to push on through, maybe give us a few thunderstorms, which doesn't really cool us off, just adds to the steamy feel. And as those storms pass through again on Saturday, you can see them here on Saturday afternoon going into Sunday. Could have another round of wet weather toward the end of the weekend. So it's round of storms, a lot of them happening across the portions of New England today, working their way to the south and east. But our weather here in New Jersey should stay fairly dry heading into today. It's just going to be really humid. So have some severe weather out in the Midwest where those storms are taking place. And then West Coast looks lovely today with that really pleasant weather. So it's all about that extreme heat that centers itself down across the southern half of the U.S., but it's pushing eastward, and that's what's pumping in all of that very warm weather. So there's that potential for severe weather across the upper plains and across New England. Elsewhere here across New Jersey, we just have that extreme heat to contend with over the next several days. Out west, it's just the rinse and repeat, and really it's just the early morning marine layer that you get before the sunrise, lasting through, well, say 9, 10 a.m., and then clears out every afternoon. That's the case right through this weekend. So gorgeous weather out west for the holiday, and remains so even into the next few days, right through the weekend. So nice and quiet there. Back out to the East Coast, we're keeping an eye on that heat, and when it ends, I think by Sunday we'll start to see some relief, and we can start to enjoy the outdoors again without sweating through all these layers of clothing. We'll tell you more about it coming up with another check of your forecast, Ken, and take a look at the air quality and, of course, the drought situation that's ongoing in a few minutes.
Or don't wear layers of clothing. There's the other solution. Just
Or
a
that.
little t-shirt and shorts. There is nothing that I enjoy more. That's the one thing that I miss from when I used to live full time in South Florida. Everywhere you go, everywhere, even if you go out to a almost nice restaurant, it's shorts
Hmm.
and a t-shirt. Shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah,
Nobody takes offense. If you want to get real dressed up, you wear a polo with your shorts, and you make
that's
sure they're
right.
not like nasty looking shorts. Have like shorts that have a color to them. So I have my really waspy looking. Can you say waspy on the air? Waspy looking golf course shorts. That you would
Ah,
never be caught dead
sure.
anywhere but in a restaurant
Right.
in Palm Beach County. So that's it. That's it. All right, sir. Thank you very much. I'm going to go get a portable fan and sit on a block of ice. Thanks to you. Appreciate you. The check back, Mike. It is 72 degrees northern New Jersey, 73 in Trenton, in Los Angeles, 64 degrees right now, and 66 degrees San Diego. It's interesting when this time of year when we're hotter in the Northeast than in California or Florida. Anyway, in terms of traffic, a bunch of things happening right now. The Turnpike disabled vehicle entering at interchange 10, which is by 287 in Edison. The toll lane is currently blocked. We have a disabled tractor trailer Route 21. We do have video, I think, of this. Southbound at 280. Yep, there it is. In Newark, all lanes are closed, and that's causing the backup you see right there. On Route 130, we have a down pole southbound south of Browning Road, Pennsauken. The right lane is closed. Route 46, down pole impacting traffic both directions, just east of I-80, Parsippany Troy Hills, with all lanes closed. On 195, there's unanticipated construction. That means they had some kind of damage to the roadway, and that is westbound from east of exit 5, Route 130 Robbinsville to 295 Hamilton. The left lane of two lanes closed there. Hudson River crossings right now, the Lincoln and Holland both reporting 35 minutes, and the GWB upper and lower levels heavy but moving about 40 to 45. And you can take a look there on the upper levels on the right, lower on the left. Over to Los Angeles, just a couple of things to tell you about. There's a traffic collision right now, central LA. That's on the 10 at the 110. Another traffic collision, South LA on Santa Fe Avenue. And and a collision just reported in South LA at Route 91 and Santa Fe Avenue on-ramp. It's a separate incident from the first. It is 36 minutes past the hour. Summer is filled with vacations and celebration, but it could also be very stressful between packed schedules, traffic, and trying to make everything just perfect. It's easy for families to lose sight of what really matters most. Alex Snyder is author of Sometimes You Should Be Late. You could say that a few ways. I could say it like, hey, sometimes you should be late. Other ways, sometimes you should be late. To share how slowing, I should say, can actually lead to happier, healthier family relationships. Alex, come on in. Tell me to stop.
Hey, Ken, great to be here.
Good to be with you. But yes, I'm hearing like my relatives saying, hey, you should like slow down. I could hear my father giving that advice many times. So I tend to be very type A, and a lot of people tend to be, especially moms and dads and with multiple kids. It's rush, rush, rush. Get this one to soccer, that one to baseball, that one to, and you forget you're not spending time together as a family. So what inspired the title in your case?
Well, it's funny that people in your life are saying sometimes you should be late because, for the most part, when I talk about this book and the title, the reaction is no, you should be on time. Like punctuality, that is how you care. And so it's interesting for you, you have this kind of different background. And for me, I also had a similar background to you. I was in the federal government for 15 years working on important things. And so for me, the sometimes you should be late came through not the traditional way of learning, but through a bike accident where I had to
Ooh.
slow down. And it led me to a journey of meditation, of asking the question that you asked so well, what actually matters here?
So how long did it take you to recuperate from the bike accident?
It was 10 years ago, and it's still with me. It's
Wow.
those head injuries I do not recommend.
Yeah, that's awful. I'm sorry about that. But
Thanks.
that's, I guess, when you realize that you need to prioritize things that are important in life, right?
Exactly. I mean, work and those small obligations, they fade out when you have a health injury. I'm sure many people in your audience have had these moments of whether that's having a child, health injury, losing a job, where you take a
Mhm.
breath and you say, okay, what actually matters here in my life? And that's part of
Yeah.
what slowing down offers. One of the things I talk about in the book is that slowing down is not something that's useful in its own way. It's not the goal, but it gives us choice. And so when we
Mhm.
have a big incident like a bike accident, a head injury, what I tried to do, which I don't recommend, was to force it, to keep on trying to do what I could do before. And it didn't work. And so what slowing down allowed me to do was to say, I've got a new body now. I've got this
Mhm.
injury that I'm dealing with. What do I need to do to find happiness despite it all?
Well, that's interesting. The way being a broadcaster, and I was with ABC in New York for 20 years, and I did the morning show, so we had to be in at 2:30 in the morning, and there was no, if you showed up at 2:31, even though we didn't go on till 4:30, you were considered late. You had to be in the door at 2:30 in the morning. So there was always that sense in the back of the mind of rush, rush, rush. But I remember some friends in the business, a woman whom I anchored with, who had been there for years before me, who said, no, 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 just get up an extra half hour earlier, have your cup of coffee, and don't come here stressed, because if you rush to get here, when you go on camera at 4:30, people will see that you're stressed out. If you give it that extra time and not worry about white knuckling it in and during the winter time, and give yourself an extra 30 minutes to get here, have a cup of coffee, whatever, relax, and then get on set, it'll make all the difference. And we were number one in the mornings in the United States by Nielsen ratings for 20 years. And people always said to me, you always seem very confident and collected. And I credit my former co-anchor Laurie Stokes for that. But it
Do you
is
mind
so important.
if I add something there,
Please,
Ken?
please do.
Um, what you did there, it's really smart, and I want to highlight that because it's counterintuitive. So you're talking about getting there early, not so that you get there on time, but so the way that you show up is the way that you want to be and the way you want to be perceived, and you're noticing that. And that is the biggest mistake that I see people making around time
Mhm.
and punctuality. They think that you should leave for the restaurant or for the family trip or for the airport 10 minutes early so that you get there on time. The point is you leave 10 minutes earlier than you think you need to. So you're not a stress ball in the car. And if there's that traffic that your colleague just talked about, that you're not like at each other's throats, like, I told you we should have left 15 minutes early. What's wrong with you? And so it's really about how you arrive, not when you arrive.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And when travel plans or family gatherings don't go exactly as planned, what's the best way then to get things back in control to manage frustration in the moment?
Yeah, it's interesting. I am really honored to follow the weather and traffic, and especially for the holidays. Those are two things that really get you. 100-degree day, back-to-back traffic, and you're like, I just want to get to the beach. Like, what's wrong? And so, how do you get back? So, I recommend slowing down, because what slowing down allows you to do is to acknowledge what's actually happening. And so, there's these first stories of, oh, I just wanted to get there, and like, we should have taken the other road. And what's really beneath that is just frustration. Like,
Mhm.
time is short, life is short. And when we have this time pressure, it just makes us the worst version of ourselves. There's a chapter I call Your Brain on Late, where I talk about when we're feeling behind, what is happening in our brain. And it acts as this like limbic part of our brain that's just like trying to solve, trying to blame. And it's not the wiser part that says, you know what, we're in the car and we have family time. This is great. Like, this is actually what this is about. And so why don't we put some music on, or a podcast, or do what we need to do to actually remember what matters. And so
Right.
when things aren't going according to plan, which, hot tip, on vacation, they will not go according to plan ever. What do? You slow down and you try to remember what actually matters. In the book, I talk about this as kind of coming back to the why. You might have heard of Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. So, like,
Mhm.
why are we doing this? What about this trip is really important? Why did we choose this place versus the other? But in those moments of stress, the important thing is to come back to the why, to remember that, oh, okay, we're not going to make the restaurant reservation. That's okay.
Right. You're not going to starve to death, right? Exactly. You have to
Yeah.
prioritize and think of reality. What is a website, Alex, to get the book or for more information?
So you can find more on slowmindfulness.com. And the book is called Sometimes You Should Be Late. And I hope it helps people actually enjoy their time together and not just get through it.
Life is too short. The book again, Sometimes You Should Be Late. Author Alex Snyder, thank you for coming on with that great advice this morning, and happy holidays.
Thanks. Happy summer.
Thank you, sir. All right, it's 43 minutes past the hour. When we come back, the wild shoe trend driving the fashion market right now. Our fashion expert, Don Del Russo, will join us with that and more. We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. 46 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. We bring in meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast for your city. And Mike, here, Alex was just here talking about how slow down. Sometimes it's okay to be late. And no
Hmm.
sooner does he come off the air, I'm already back to like 90 miles an hour. But did you notice how calmly he spoke? Even his
Very.
diction, his whole
Yeah.
presentation was very
Hmm.
soothing. He commanded authority. When people speak slowly and clearly, they sort of command authority for the moment, and it makes you kind of hesitant to step in there because you think you're going to step on them. He's very good at what he does.
Very, very good. Yeah, that was a very good story. This is the kind of weather you need to take it slow anyway, right? You need to slow down a little bit, kind of walk. Go at that Florida pace, for instance. You know, they tend to walk a little more slowly down in Florida. Yeah, that's what you have to do today. With all of the action out west, you see those storms lined up there. There is nothing happening across the East Coast, and that's due to the very strong hot weather bubble that's preventing any of those showers from reaching us and staying there in the Midwest. So we take a look at what's happening for the next several days, and you can see a lot of those storms are steered either up to the north, over us into New England, just giving us our consistent hot weather right throughout the day on Saturday. Best chance of seeing some weather, like with the rain and the showers and stuff, that comes later on in the weekend, probably by Sunday. But until that time, we should be pretty clear. Going into Monday and Tuesday of next week, a little bit of a cool down on the way with some showers, so that will feel a little bit better and put an end to what will be at least a 5-day heat wave. And again, a couple of those days, beginning today, could see temperatures reach 100 degrees, especially away from the shore. By Friday into Saturday, we have a line of storms return along a cold front, and those come through again on Sunday, but clearing by the end of the weekend, leading to a pretty decent Monday. And the long range outlook through the middle of July has a little bit of that heat returning, but most of the rain will be down to our south and east, so we should remain relatively dry. Again, that southeast corner of the country where the drought is at its worst, it's really rain that could be used there. Here in New Jersey, we've seen a little bit of an improvement from all of the rain over the last week. We'll tell you more about the heat and give you some temperatures coming up in just a few minutes with your New Jersey forecast, Ken.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. 48 minutes past the hour. We have 75 degrees northern New Jersey, 73 in Trenton, Los Angeles, 64, 64 also in San Diego. In terms of traffic, a whole bunch of stuff going on. Let's go to the New Jersey Turnpike. We have a disabled vehicle just popped up. It is where you enter at interchange 10, Route 287 area in Edison. The toll lane is currently blocked, and you can see the police activity there on the scene taking care of that. On Route 130, we have a down pole southbound, south of Browning Road, Pensacola. The right lane is closed. We now go over to Route 21. There is a disabled tractor trailer southbound at 280 in Newark. Right lane of 3 lanes closed. You can see the impact it's having there right now. Wow. Yeah. In fact, that is, where is it there? Is it the folks on the right? Oh, it's underneath the I got you, thank you. Pam is pointing out it's underneath where the car where the car is there, so, alright, so that's where we got it. We have a down pole now, Route 46 just east of 80. Parsippany Troy Hills, all lanes closed there. And then down in 195, unanticipated construction delay westbound from east of exit 5, Route 130 in Robbinsville to, it goes all the way to 295. So you have a little bit of a slowdown there. Your Hudson River crossings across the Holland Tunnel right now, they're talking 25 to 30, and that's what you got right there. You can see a little bit of movement in one of the tubes, but it's slow in that middle tube, or the left tube, it would be. There are only two tubes for the Holland. The folks in the extreme right of the screen, which would be the leftmost side, those folks go off to local lanes in Jersey City. But you could see that the right tube, the people on the other side of the screen, they were moving. Thank you, Pam. So the ones next to the red wall, they're going to one tube. The right tube. The ones in the middle are apparently have a little bit of traffic. So that's what you got right there. Okay, over to the Lincoln Tunnel right now. We have about 35 minutes in, and the GWB upper and lower levels up to 45 solid minutes, 80-95 approach. It's jamming. A little better for you on the lower level on the left than on the upper on the right. To Los Angeles, we just have a collision reported South LA. That's on Santa Fe Avenue. There's a collision also in South LA at Route 91 and Santa Fe Avenue, a separate collision, and one just reported now at the 710 in South LA by 405. 50 minutes past the hour. And we got an interesting little bit going on in fashion, the fashion world. The men's Saint Laurent runway show was held, and it featured, among other things, transparent PVC shoes. Joining us this morning to break down the latest trends is fashion expert Dawn Del Russo of livetheglamour.com. That's livetheglamour.com. Good morning to you, Dawn. So
Good
we got to
morning.
just let's just go right to Pam and have
Mhm.
Pam bring up the transparent shoes if you have them. It should be the first video in, I think. They get yeah, she's got them. There we go. Okay, so there. All I could think of is those are the most hideous things I have ever seen since God gave me breath to breathe. And you know what I keep thinking of? I keep thinking of the 72-year-old guy in the country club who's fat, out of shape, and balding, who thinks he's sexy, who has yellow, thickened toenails, who's wearing them because he thinks he's a fashion plate. Am I wrong?
I You are not wrong at all. It was I thought that I was going to have an instant reaction, and then all the internet everywhere did, and it was so funny because it was like everyone, no matter what the designer, like it's the greatest designer or not, you cannot put these shoes on someone. They're terrible,
They're
and
just
they exist.
even they're ugly. They're just ugly.
They're ugly. They exist as actual real shoes to buy. They weren't a concept shoe. They weren't a runway. I mean, they were a runway shoe, but they weren't just for the runway. These are purchasable, which is terrifying, like you just said. And the internet went crazy. I know now a lot of these designers are doing stuff for that chatter, for that talk, that gets the major media attention. And it did a good job. But people were saying, imagine how foggy and these are going to get so quickly just walking in them. Terrible.
It's funny. Pam, our director, Pam just said in my ear, now I know what to get you for Christmas. No, I'd rather dog poop in a brown bag, Pam, please.
Awful,
Uh,
awful,
awful.
awful.
All right. I don't even want to see them anymore. Let's just get them off the screen. I know that there was also the master of shoes, and I was turned on to Christian Louboutin. Louboutin. For those who don't know who Louboutin is, and I only know because my former co-anchor Laurie Stokes collected them. And Louboutins are, I think, the cheapest pair are like 800. They go up to 5,000 plus, right?
Oh
They
yeah,
have the red bottoms, but they
yes,
last forever. These
they do.
Louboutins last forever. They're built like a tank, and they're
They do.
gorgeous. But they
They
have some
are. And
funky ones.
the ones you just saw, it is hilarious because all of these shoes, like I said, they're not concept shoes. They compare them to like concept cars, but these are actual shoes that you can purchase. And like you can see, some of them have like a foot shaped to them, which are absolutely horrendous. They did a banana peel style that was actually for women, and they're buying them. They're selling them out. They're gone. These shoes are off the shelves. You can't even get them anymore. I do believe that they will end up being, somewhat of a collector piece, I guess you can say. But for anyone wearing them, I'm scared to see them. I think in New York we probably will see them the most because walking around the city, that people are fearless. And they will do a pair of shoes like this. But Louboutin is known for their red bottoms. They're the shoe that everyone does look for if you want to make a statement. So by them making this style, the foot shape and the banana peel, this was like the next level of a shoe that they've designed before. The banana peel actually looks like it's peeling off of the shoe, which is very interesting.
Which is fascinating. I remember my friend Lori telling me that there's a company, there are probably a number of them online that make money taking imitation Louboutins and spray painting the bottoms red, just so that people
Hmm.
think. But the problem is, it's not just the surface that's red with Louboutin, it's all the way through. So as they wear, it stays red. Whereas if you get
Yeah.
the fake ones painted on, that as it scrapes off, everybody knows you were trying to lie with your
Yeah,
fake
and
Louboutin.
it's a completely different texture, the one that they do, that's sprayed on or a fake pair, because the Louboutin one is very glossy. Originally, the whole concept was this: Louboutin wanted to make a shoe that everyone knew was his, and he used red nail polish to paint the bottom of his shoes. That was originally
Mm.
how he came up with the shoe, by painting the bottom with red nail polish. So it's a very high gloss red bottom. And it continued for, I mean, now it's like the shoe that you need. If you see someone walking in a red bottom shoe, you almost always know it's a Louboutin, unless it's like
Right.
what you said, someone got it painted.
And I know that if something happens to the shoe, you send it back, they fix it. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
serious. That they are serious about their shoes, and I appreciate that. Listen, you're going to treat your product like that, just like I know a lot of the big expensive purse makers do. You're going to charge thousands of dollars. That's an item they're going to want to pass on to kids and stuff like that. So you want that to last, and I appreciate that. That's where it makes sense to spend money on fashion. Me, I've never spent more than $100 on a pair of shoes, and they look it. But that's just me. I've never owned Louboutins. Schiaparelli. Schiaparelli.
yeah.
Now, what is the deal with the cat head?
Cat heads, birds. Now this brand, they're known. They're considered art. So anything that's been created, especially over the last couple of years that we've seen, I mean, they are meant to make a statement and is in the category of art. So it's like collector, sculptor style pieces when you're buying them, and we know that. We know that that's what we're buying for. Most of the time, no one's even wearing them out because they do become a piece that you put in a box and you display in your home. I mean, these are shoes that you can actually display. And like you're seeing here, these are pretty wild. It looks like, you're wearing your toes out. The cat heads are actually full-size heads on the shoes. Same with the birds. Really, truly sculptured moments on top of a shoe.
And it does not look like the most comfortable thing to wear. I don't know that I'd
It's
want
not.
to get on a 6-hour flight wearing a pair of those. Uh, Especially me.
No,
I have size 13 wides. Could you imagine? Could you imagine, Don?
not
Uh,
comfortable.
no.
Not
All right. The
comfortable.
website is livetheglamour.com, livetheglamour.com. Our resident fashionista, fashion expert, Dawn Del Russo. She really does go to the runways, folks, and she sees it face forward. Thank you for coming on, Dawn, as always. We love you having you on every week.
Thanks, Ken. You too.
You bet. 58 minutes past the hour now. For those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, ONNJ, we're coming right back with New Jersey news, opinion, weather, and traffic. Thanks for watching Mornings. Back in 2 minutes. Good morning. It's 8 a.m., Wednesday, July 1st, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Sounding clouds today, but the temps keep going up with each passing day, so it's going to be even hotter and more humid. Can I say humider than it was yesterday? Temps today, upper 90s, maybe hitting 100 in some spots. The humidity, though, will make it feel into the hundreds. Oppressive heat sticking around for the next few days. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Did I summarize it, Mike? Did I listen to
That
you
was
properly?
great. Excellent.
You.
A
Now let's all go home.
plus, Ken.
Now let's all, we're done.
Considering it's the extreme heat, and when the weather service says it's extreme, you know it's bad. Especially this afternoon with the heat peaking tomorrow, lasting through Friday, even through Saturday. That's the entire state, even down to Cape May. So very warm weather, even down toward the beaches, where right now we're almost at 80 degrees at 8 a.m. from Hackensack toward Newark, warming very quickly through the morning. The humidity is already in place. We're about 2 to 5 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, and that heat just compounds with, of course, all of the high dew points. So the humidity, when that temperature reaches 70, that's the temperature the air is saturated, it's going to feel very muggy, almost downright tropical. So I had a few quick passing sprinkles across northeastern New Jersey. They spread east. Now we look forward to a warm and just a hot southwesterly wind throughout the day, helping temperatures reach 100 degrees this afternoon. When you add the humidity, it feels like 105 or greater. And then tomorrow, with that heat peaking at 105 in Hackensack as early as 2 in the afternoon, it gets warm in a hurry and stays warm through Camden, Mount Holly, and Trenton, all these places in New Jersey, feeling uncomfortably hot through tomorrow afternoon under the blazing sunshine that returns again for Friday. So we do it again on Friday, and even Saturday may briefly touch 100 before those storms come through late Saturday afternoon. Likely just be very isolated as they pass on by, and then clearing on the way for Sunday with another cool down ahead by the end of the weekend. So there's our peak heat of the week. 104 tomorrow on Thursday, 103 on Friday, and then just making it to around 100 on Saturday, 99 degrees with some thunderstorms later on in the afternoon to try and cool us down, Ken.
All right, let's keep our fingers crossed for that. Nature's air conditioning. Thank you, Mike. It is 2 minutes after 8 o'clock right now. 76 northern New Jersey, 73 in Trenton. It's 72 degrees right now in Cape May, 75 in Vineland. In terms of traffic, we have a lot of it. Let's go to the Turnpike. Disabled vehicle now reported entering at interchange 10, which is by Route 440, 287 in Edison, with the toll lane blocked. You could see there. That's been that way for a while. It's not causing a massive delay or anything. In fact, it's causing no delay. But just as you approach the toll booth, just be aware of that. We have a down pole reported, Route 130 southbound, south of Browning Road in Pennsauken Township. The right lane is closed. And then on Route 21, we have a disabled tractor trailer southbound at 280 in Newark. The right lane is closed. That's causing some delays right now. Route 21, again, southbound at 280 in Newark with the right lane closed. We have a down pole right now, Route 46, both directions impacted east of I-80, Parsippany, Troy Hills. All lanes closed there. A lot of the cameras are out. They're on maintenance, under maintenance for whatever reason. So these would normally be camera shots for you. We don't have them. Over to 195. There's an unanticipated construction delay westbound from east of exit 5, Route 130, Robbinsville, to east of 295 in Hamilton. Left lane of 2 lanes closed there. And the Hudson River crossings, the Holland Tunnel from Route 78 on 190. Was this 192? Yeah, I believe it is. Or 139. 139. Yes, 139. Thank you, Pam. And that is, you can see, very, very heavy. Right now into the Holland Tunnel, that's going to cost you about 45 minutes. The Lincoln Tunnel approach is about 35 to 40, and the GWB upper and lower levels, 80, 95 approach. Heavy, but it is moving better than it was. Heavier, you could see on the upper level on the right. Lower level is moving pretty well, actually. They're saying it's now down to 30 to 35, which is better than it was just half an hour ago. That's a good thing. It is 8:04 right now as millions of fans celebrate the FIFA World Cup across North America. Another challenge is unfolding alongside the matches: extreme summer heat. While players have hydration breaks and cooling protocols on the field, many fans, workers, and residents watching from neighborhoods across the country don't have the same protections. They should, but they're not doing it. Joining us now is veteran meteorologist John Morales, who says that rising temperatures and growing heat disparities are creating a public health challenge that deserves just as much attention as the tournament itself. John, it is an honor to have you on, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken, so much. And also an honor for me to share the stage with Mike Favetta,
Yes.
a distinguished colleague who I've known for a long time and I know does excellent work. So shout out to you, Mike. Now, Ken, you're right. I mean, so let's talk short term here, because coming up just in the matches that are going to be seen in what's left of this week, we've got a few really challenging spots in terms of what the temperatures are expected to be. I mean, even in Toronto, for example, the high temperature during their match tomorrow that they're hosting is going to be 93, and that's 16 degrees above normal. Also 93, 11 degrees above the threshold at which even the athletes start to lose performance, according to peer-reviewed studies from the World Cup held in Brazil a few years ago, where they determined that above 82, the players simply don't perform as well. But Ken, your point regarding the workers for the World Cup, regarding the fans around the World Cup, I think is really important because, folks don't often recognize the symptoms of heat-related illnesses. Heat exhaustion, which can lead to a heat stroke, which, by the way, can be fatal, is a big concern, especially with these temperatures rising the way they are over the next few days.
My doctor loves to say that once the daytime temperature gets near 90, that the minute you wake up, you should have two full glasses of water before you do anything else. Even if it makes you gag getting it down, you need to hyperhydrate first thing in the morning because you don't even realize how much you dehydrated in your sleep. And then the minute you go out and hit that heat, especially older people who tend not to feel the heat as much, that's all you need to do is dehydrate in that sun after 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It could be really life-threatening, very dangerous, but just hydration and occasionally a sports drink too. Not that we're a doctor here or anything, but an occasional sports drink, something with it, or banana to get the potassium in. Very, very important. But the main thing is what you should be taking breaks from the sun. And a lot of those fans, they're screaming for 90 minutes in that beating sun and humidity. At least the players are in and out of shade and moving. But
Yeah.
for the fans, they don't even realize they're just wrapped up in the moment.
Well, I mean, it's tough, Ken, because there is a documented history of fans succumbing to the extreme heat. Even in our own hosted World Cup, when we did it in 1994 in this country, there was a match in Orlando in which 160 people had to be treated due to heat-related illnesses, including some visits to the emergency room. So as they say on TV, we're not making this up, okay? This is a real danger. I think especially over the coming days, folks are not properly hydrating like you described we should. Folks are oftentimes ingesting alcohol. So whether it's beer or cocktails, that is going to dehydrate you instead of hydrate you. So that leads to problems as well. And by the way, I mean, keep in mind, this type of condition, what we're seeing with these extreme temperatures mixing with large venues where tens of thousands are attending, this is only going to get worse. I saw where FIFA President Infantino is already discussing that starting in 2030, they're looking to move the start of the World Cup either to March or to October because FIFA knows that these type of temperatures are becoming more commonplace. As a matter of fact, over in Toronto, I told you that statistic, about 93 degrees for their match tomorrow. That condition is made 2 times more likely due to, yeah, you guessed it, climate change. These type of heat waves are becoming more frequent and more intense. And I think it's a real danger, Ken, for everybody involved, from the workers to even the residents of these cities, where the frontline communities often don't have trees, don't have shade. Their neighborhoods are 10 to 13 degrees hotter than the more wealthy neighborhoods that have plenty of tree cover. There's a lot to think about here beyond the fun matches that we're watching.
Oh heck, I don't know about you. I'm sure the same for you. I'm guessing, but when I pass in the summertime on days like this, you pass the guys working maintenance, lawn maintenance, or the construction workers in the street with this 90 plus degrees and the black top there, just absorbing all that heat and baking, and you just have to feel for them. But whether it means stepping aside and dumping a bottle of cold water on your head or whatever it takes, you have got to be serious about this heat. This is not the heat of our youth. This is a serious heat, and it's getting hotter. And as you said, it's getting more frequent, and we have to treat it as such, because it's not getting any better. Bottom line, right?
It's not. Yeah, I mean, you saw what just happened in Europe last week, and because the climate of the 21st century is not like the climate of the 20th century. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they don't have a lot of the infrastructure that we do here in the US. There's no air conditioning in a lot of those, well, frankly, really old buildings that were built, 2 centuries ago, right? And those folks are suffering, especially at night when temperatures don't cool as much. Now it's our turn. Here in the mid-Atlantic, in the Northeast, in parts of the Midwest, in the Southeast, we're talking about those temperatures that are not going to be cooling all that much at night and becoming extreme during the daytime. And Ken, to some of your viewers and listeners, this will be familiar. To others, it will not. But there are folks out there, there are families out there that can't afford to both run the air conditioner and put food on the table, right? So when those folks are thinking, okay, well, I can't run the air conditioner for this long, and they happen to have an elderly parent in the house, or maybe a young toddler or a baby, those two extremes of age, right, the babies and the elderly are very fragile when it comes to extreme heat. If their bodies can't cool down at night because you can't or turn on the air conditioner or you don't have one, then those folks are in danger too. In the US, I'm sure you've heard the statistic, Ken, heat kills more people than hurricanes, floods, and tornadoes combined. It's the silent killer, though. It doesn't make the headlines nearly as much. So what you and I are doing this morning, along with Mike Favetta, is making people aware that this is serious, the type of heat that's coming, and we need to be ready for it, and we need to take the proper precautions.
Amen. Amen. And it's got to be shouted from the rooftops because people just take it for granted. Absolutely take it for granted. Veteran meteorologist John Morales, it is great to have you on, my friend. Please don't be a stranger. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing the message this morning.
Thanks for having me. Stay cool.
You too. Thank you. All right. Right now it is already 76 degrees in northern New Jersey, 77 in Trenton. When we come back, motherhood can be one of life's greatest joys, but it can also feel incredibly isolating. One New Jersey mom decided to change that. We will explain. We're coming back in 2 minutes. And welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:15, taking calls at 888-658-0234. It's going to be another sweltering one for the state of New Jersey. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. And Mike, I know it was nice to have your friend there, John Morales, on,
Yeah.
the distinguished meteorologist that he is. And I was just looking up the statistics of how many people die each year from the heat in the United States
Hmm.
versus the greater EU, all of Europe. And of course, as John said, either because the buildings are older or it's too expensive to run the electricity, et cetera, they just don't have a culture. As you know, you've lived in Italy. They don't have a
Hmm.
culture of air conditioning in Europe. To them, it's silly. It's a waste. They look at it as for a few months a year. Why? Versus here, do you know how many people, what the numbers are? How many people die a year in Europe
It's
of
staggering. Staggering. And
175,000 people?
it's a lot.
175,000 versus the United States, 1,700. And we're talking about comparable populations.
Sure.
That's crazy. That number
Yep.
is crazy. But the heat wave that they just had in Europe, and they're still having in parts, right?
Yeah.
Temps in the over 100 degrees in Paris, they don't get temps like that normally, or
Mm-mm.
haven't up to this point. And it's not looking any better, is it?
And the inner city, mostly comprised of stone structures that retain the heat overnight. And like John said, a lot of the problem is the heat lasting through the overnight and your body not being able to cool off naturally during the overnight period, and the heat just compounds the next day. That's what's going to happen here in New Jersey by Friday into Saturday, where we have temperatures that throughout the overnight stay into the upper 80s and low 90s. That's our daytime highs today, for instance, at the beaches, with the afternoons featuring that sweltering heat. So first the humidity comes in and it makes it feel tropical throughout tomorrow. Whenever that dew point is in the 70s, that's Miami levels of humidity. Very, very humid. Look at that, 77 degrees back toward Morristown. You're talking like rainforest levels of humidity here throughout Friday afternoon into Saturday. And then we see that eventually cool down into Sunday. But what that does to the heat index is make it feel like 108 on Thursday afternoon. Very warm through the overnight, in the 80s and 90s overnight. And then we're right back into feeling like 100 degrees by Friday afternoon. Even Saturday, as early as 11 a.m. on Saturday, feels like 100 or 101. So really, really hot weather that compounds each and every day through the next several days. So being in the AC, very important, especially with the sun this strong. UV index is at a 10, and that's the highest it gets all year round. Usually happens a few days around the summer solstice, which, as we know, just happened 2 weeks ago. So into the next few afternoons with that warm weather, thanks to the southwesterly breeze, pushing in all of that moisture, we're probably hard pressed to find any showers until we get to later Saturday afternoon. So Thursday is dry, Friday is dry, and then later Saturday, our next chance of seeing some rain. Also the case by Sunday, a quick passing shower, and then Monday and Tuesday featuring a little bit of a cool down that will just bring us back down to average. So it goes to show how long this heat lasts. 99 on Saturday, 92 by Sunday, with some drier weather by next week. It'll feel more like July should, not like this oppressive weather, Ken, over the next several days.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Appreciate it. 8:19 right now. We have 73 degrees in northern New Jersey, 77 in Trenton. It is 71 degrees now in Cape May and 74 degrees in Vineland. And we have a lot of traffic to talk about. Let's start over at the New Jersey Turnpike, shall we? What we have at the Turnpike is a disabled vehicle entering at interchange 10, which is by Route 440 Edison. The toll lane is blocked. You can see they've been working on that for a while. Over in 46, we have a down pole impacting traffic both directions east of I-80 Parsippany Troy Hills with all lanes closed. Another down pole reported. This is on Route 130 southbound south of Browning Road, Pennsauken, with the right lane closed. And we have on 195 unanticipated construction delay westbound from east of exit 5 to east of 295 in Hamilton. The left lane of 2 lanes closed there. We have on Route 21 a disabled tractor trailer southbound at 280 in Newark with the right lane closed. That's impacting traffic there, as you can see right there on your screen. And your Hudson River crossings, now we're up to 35 minutes in the Holland Tunnel. On the Lincoln Tunnel approach, it's about 25 to 30, and the GWB upper and lower levels have widened up quite a bit. This is much better than it was, actually. So the lower levels on the left, upper on the right, and that's going to cost you about 25 to 30, and not so bad. I think a lot of people already left for the long weekend today. And if they haven't, they're going to be escaping the city at around noon or 1. So if you're in Manhattan and you're trying to get out of town noon or 1, good luck. The Lincoln Tunnel, Holland Tunnel, GWB is going to be bumper to bumper from everybody escaping because they're all going away for a long weekend right through next Monday, guarantee. All right, it's 20 minutes after, and motherhood can be one of life's greatest joys, but it can also feel incredibly isolating. One New Jersey mom decided to change that by creating a community where moms can connect, build friendships, and support one another through every stage of parenting. And with us now is Tiffany Nemetko, who's the founder of Ocean Wave Mamas, a growing
Hi,
community serving
Ken.
moms across Monmouth and Ocean. I love that name, Ocean Wave Mamas. Sounds
Yes,
good.
I
Sounds
know.
good.
I thought about it at 3 a.m.
She's like,
Crazy.
sounds good. It was my idea. Well, I love it. That's great. So tell us how you started it. When did you start it? This was after the birth of your second child?
Yes, that is correct. I do have a daughter. She was my first child. And then I had my second, which was my son. I thought Ocean County needed this. I was part of mom groups when I had my daughter. It was mainly social groups and walking groups. And then I just felt like moms around Ocean County needed it because I live in Tom's River,
Mm.
and it was very needed because the amount of moms that have come around, it's been pretty crazy. I still don't feel like it's real. I started this back in February of 2025. So I'll be hitting 2 years in February of 2027. So I'm about a year and a
Nice.
half in so far.
Sweet. And I think since the pandemic, I mean, your neck of the woods, I have a friend who's a police officer in Tom's River, and I know how when he first moved there 20 some odd years ago, Tom's River was just a sleepy little community. And in that time, since the pandemic, especially as people fled Philadelphia and New York City to go to nicer surrounds,
Mhm.
Tom's River and that whole section of New Jersey has just blossomed in population. So you have a lot of young couples who can't afford to live in Hoboken or in Robbinsville, and they're moving over toward Tom's River. Not that Tom's River is cheap by any stretch,
Right.
but that's the direction that they're going in, just because there's no room to grow anywhere else.
Right.
Have you seen the growth yourself in the community in the last 5 years more so than prior?
Yes. So I've been in Tom's River for about 7 years. I'm originally from Point Pleasant, actually.
Hmm.
So, but Point Pleasant Borough. Have to always say that. Beach and borough are different. So I think I've seen a big growth in Tom's River. And it's just so crazy. Tom's River is so big. Like literally, my in laws live 20 minutes away and they're in
Hmm.
Tom's River still. So Tom's River is such a broad spectrum and so big. But I have moms from Ocean County and now Monmouth County also coming through. So I do both counties. Mainly it's Ocean, but I have some Monmouth moms starting to come as well.
Very cool. And you your group helps moms find themselves outside of motherhood, right? So what does that
That's
mean
right.
to you?
So that means I do events that are mom only events too, not just mom and kid events and family events. I felt after my second kid that I'm a stay at home mom. So I haven't worked for, it's been probably 5 years because I was with my daughter. Um, so I've just been home and I felt like for me, I needed something like an outlet, not just being a mom. So that's why I started Ocean Wave Mamas. And then just finding yourself outside of motherhood is a huge thing because we just need a little self care for ourselves as well to take care of our own children. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, then who else is going to take care of us at the end of the day?
All my friends who are new moms have said that sometimes they feel like they're imposing every time they talk about especially new moms. Every time
Mhm.
they talk about what it is to be a new mom and the baby crying or this or that, getting clothes, and you kind of
Yeah.
need another mom who can commiserate or change, talk about the
Right.
subject, or another mom who's had the experience. Now that you have two kids, I'm sure you can impart wisdom to a new mom that no one else can. And even a
Mhm.
grandma may not remember, 60 years back or whatever, but you can share that information. So a group like yours is just invaluable. It's essential.
Yes, definitely. It really is. I literally tell the moms when they come to my events, I say, who cares if your kid cries? Who cares if your kid tantrums? Who cares
Mm.
if you need to feed your child or you need to like just go on the side when we do our walks? Like it's okay. And we all help each other too. So like I'll watch another mom's child or baby, or they'll watch my kids or something like that. It's kind of like that. Like we had an event yesterday at Pleasant Valley Lavender Farm, and that was in Morganville, New Jersey. And it was myself, and then we had a couple other mom groups. I want to say it was 4 or 5 mom groups. And we literally were like helping each other out because it was just, it was a farm. So there were strollers, and we just, it was a little bit chaotic at times, but it was okay. And then, I had other people watching my kids while I was talking to the moms and chatting and things like that, which was awesome. So
And now you're up to hundreds of members, right?
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm going to be honest with you. I have about, it's between like 10 and 40 moms at my events now. And it kind of, the events, it depends, like monthly. I can do 4 to 8 events a month. It depends. I actually took a back seat this summer. So from June, July, and August, I have 4 other moms that are actually hosting for me, and I absolutely love them. And I needed the help really badly because it just started getting so big. And I love them for hosting for me. So then I can just do back end things at the end of the day. And I'm also now doing content for some small businesses in New Jersey, which
Nice.
has been great. It's been
Tiffany,
really
tell
good.
everybody your website.
So I don't have a website, but we are on Instagram at
Uh-huh.
Ocean Wave Mamas. And I do have a Facebook group, which is Ocean Wave Mamas as well.
All right. Well, join the Ocean Wave Mamas down in Ocean County. That's fantastic. Tiffany Nametko, founder of Ocean Wave Mamas. Thanks for coming by this morning.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for having me.
You bet. And when we come back, you know who this guy is. A musician, actor, producer, historian, Stevie Van Zandt, better known as Little Steven. Everybody knows Little Steven, especially those of us in New Jersey. He's going to join us to talk about a big concert coming up mid-July to celebrate America's 250th. Phone lines are open, 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says it's a hot one. It's going to be close to 100 degrees, and you are watching Mornings. We're coming back in 2 minutes. Very good morning. Wednesday, July 1st, 2026. We have 74 degrees already at 8:30. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Morning. Sun and clouds, hot, humid, highs upper 90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Really hot. It's the humidity, too, right? It's not the heat, it's the humidity. That's what they say. And you'll really feel that humidity roll in through this afternoon with the extreme heat warning lasting right through the day on Saturday. That's for the entire state, down to Cape May. Something we've been watching for the last few days, and now it's here, delivering triple-digit temperatures, even down the shore, where weather remains in the upper 80s today, but likely spikes into the 90s, even at the beaches, as soon as we get to tomorrow. A little bit of a breeze from the south and west that still pushes in some of the pollen, specifically grasses and weeds. Tree pollen season is basically over. But heading into the next few weeks, it's all about the hot weather, at least for the next few days. Record set back in 1963 of 100 degrees. We will likely smash that by the end of the day, especially with the triple-digit heat expected today, lasting again through tomorrow. You can find some relief at the beaches. Sandy Hook water temperature already warming to 75 degrees, a little bit cooler over toward Atlantic City. And with the dry weather around, again, rain-wise, it's still humid. The rain chances increase by this weekend. Saturday and Sunday into Monday, a slight bump each and every day with rain chances. But again, those are still just some afternoon run-of-the-mill thunderstorms. So not anticipating a washout, certainly, especially as we could use some rain to cool us down this weekend. It's hot, it's humid, it's dry over the next several days. No rain forecast, at least until Friday afternoon. Might be a shower, but the better chances of rain are into Saturday and Sunday when that front finally pushes through and triggers a few late day thunderstorms. Until that time, gotta stay cool. Temperatures each and every day warming into the upper 90s to low 100, and it's also the overnight temperatures that are very warm in the 80s. Have some relief on the way by Sunday into Monday when we're back down closer to average, Ken, in the 80s.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate it, sir. It is 75 degrees now, northern New Jersey, 77 in Trenton. It's 70 in Cape May, nice and cool by the water, 74 degrees in Vineland. In terms of traffic, we have a lot of issues going on. Let's go to the Turnpike. Oh, looks like they just cleared the Turnpike, Pam. Yep, they just cleared it. Pam is saying yes. She sees it on the video, and I'm seeing it on the report. That's good. Over to Route 46, we have a down pole both directions impacted east of I-80 Parsippany Troy Hills with all lanes closed. On Route 130, another down pole. That's southbound, south of Browning Road, Pennsauken, right lane of 3 lanes closed there. And over to 195, unanticipated construction delay, and that is westbound from exit 5 to east of 295 in Hamilton with the left lane of 2 lanes closed. For crossings right now, the Lincoln and Holland both reporting 35 minutes. We look at the GWB upper and lower levels. You can see it's actually a little bit heavy on the lower level on the left side of the screen. Very nice on the upper level on the right. The upper level is going to cost you 25 in, the lower level 30. Not so bad considering this time of the morning. It is 8:34 as America marks its 250th anniversary. New Jersey is celebrating with a concert that honors the nation's history through the power of music. It was originally scheduled for this Friday, the 3rd of July. The event's been postponed because of the extreme heat, and it will now take place July 17th. And headlining Monmouth, New Jersey 250, the concert at Park Stage at the East Freehold Park Showgrounds, is musician, actor, producer, historian Stevie Van Zandt, also known as Little Steven. We all know who he is. Good morning. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Morning, Ken.
It's great to have you here. Now, listen, I got to fan out and say I was a Sopranos fan from day one, and just seeing you on my screen right now here has got me a little quivery, and I don't get too quivery, but it's an honor to have you on. Really an honor to have you on.
My pleasure.
So, thank you, sir. Tell us what fans can expect from this special celebration of America's 250th.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't get a chance to play with the Disciples of Soul all that often. And this will probably be our only show this year. They're the guys that now have been doing the Bruce Archive shows, and of course we did 2 tours in 2017 and 19. But they're all very busy. They're the busiest session guys in the business, so it's very hard to get the whole band together. This is a rare occasion, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a great bill. It's going to be with Joe Grusecki and Gary U.S. Bonds, and Jake Clemens is coming, and a local band, The Weaklings. So it's going to be a really a fun show.
Disciples of Soul, they've always reflected a huge range of American musical influences. So, why is this concert the perfect opportunity, you think, to showcase that sound at this time for the 250th?
Well, um, I think our audience has gotten used to the fact that we have a pretty wide range of music, spanning several genres, and this all started back really all the way back to the Asbury Jukes,
Hmm.
which me and Southside started in the early '70s. I mean, we've gotten our audiences used to uh, responding to what's going on in that moment. We never have been one of those bands that's really hit oriented. The audience comes expecting to hear great music and respond to it right there on the spot. It's a wonderful relationship we have.
You have audience members who know every word of every song. I mean, there's the difference. You have committed fans who love your music. And I don't know if I were an artist, and I'm not, but if I were an artist, I'd want somebody who respects every word and every note as opposed to somebody who hears one hit and just shows up for the one hit and yawns through the concert until the one hit comes up. And this is going to be an entire lineup of artists. Talk about the lineup and what excites you most about sharing the stage with such a diverse group of performers.
Well, it's an interesting group. Joe Grishecki, I was there at the very beginning of Joe's career when Steve Popovich, a great record man, discovered them. I helped out on his very first record many years ago, and Joe has just gotten better and better through the years. Jake Clemens, I don't know if people realize it. He had a career before joining the E Street Band, a very terrific singer-songwriter, and saxophone was not his first instrument. So he has really, risen to the occasion, man. He's become one of the great sax players in the whole business. But he's actually a singer-songwriter, and so people get a chance to see that side of him. And the Weaklings are just one of the best bands locally. We play them all the time in the Underground Garage on the radio network, and it's just a terrific show, beginning to end. Of course, Gary U.S. Bonds. Not only a good friend, but me and Bruce did those two albums with him back in the '80s, and had a hit actually, miraculously. And so Gary had a whole second career from that, and he's going to perform with Joe Grishecki. So it's going to be a great fun day.
And Steve, you've been with Bruce over 50 years now, right?
Well, who's counting? You
Listen,
must
just a
be
couple of
referring to
years.
my father. I don't know. That couldn't be me.
But that's the amazing thing. You still look like day one. You still look like the young rocker who could just take the stage from day one. It's amazing. And you just came off of Springsteen's Land of Hopes and Dreams tour. How does it feel to step back in the spotlight as the front man of Little Steven and the Disciples of Soul now? Because that's the thing. I think a lot of people get wrapped up in that's Steve Van Zandt with Springsteen. No, you are a mega artist of your own making, and Little Steven and the Disciples of Soul are just awesome. So talk about what it feels like again being the front man.
It is a transition. It's a very very different role to play. Now I had my own bands, of course, before joining up
Right.
with the E Street Band. So I started off as a band leader. So it's not a big stretch for me, but it's a very different job, and I have to really change the way I think about it to do it properly. With Bruce, you're there on stage supporting what he's doing and helping him realize his vision and whatever he wants to be talking about at that time. And now, you're the one doing the talking, and so you're gonna just shift. You're gonna shift that mentality a little bit, But I'm kind of schizophrenic anyway, so it works out for me.
That's a good thing. Or to live in New Jersey, I think we're all schizophrenic. Steve, you are. The thing is, we look at you and we immediately think New Jersey. You're born in Massachusetts, right?
Yes, I was. I was born in Boston, and at 7 years old, my mother remarried, and that's how an Italian kid got a Dutch name. My father adopted me, and moved to New Jersey. So I could fulfill my destiny down here.
When you went to school, all the Italians in class must have said, "Yeah, you're a Van Zant, sure." That's
Yeah,
awesome.
right.
That's why I think a lot of people are a little surprised who didn't realize that your background is 100% Italian heritage on both sides, and the fact that you were in The Sopranos and you fit in so perfectly. Everyone's like, "The second, what?" So, but you were just amazing. Let's talk for a second, if we can, about that. How did you first land the role, and what did you think when you first heard about the role, and then what it blossomed into on The Sopranos?
Well, it was one of the great gifts of my life. David Chase handed me a whole new craft because I was not an actor. I had no intention of being an actor, no interest in being an actor. I like the idea of writing and perhaps even directing someday or producing, but acting had never occurred to me. David Chase, the creator of Sopranos, saw me do this little kind of comical introduction to the Rascals at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And just to show how destiny works, it happened to be the first time it was ever televised. And David Chase was just clicking around with the remote and saw the Rascals come on, which was a great Jersey 60s band. And he's like, what are the Rascals doing on TV? And he stopped clicking around, and on I came and inducted the Rascals into the Hall of Fame. And he just was like, he had already been a fan. He had not only the E Street Band records, he had my solo records as well. So he was just like, let's get him on a show. I want to have some new faces in this crazy new show idea I have. And I don't want to do the same old thing. Let's get some new people. So they found me through the corporate papers of my foundation at the time, because I had no record company or publicist or anything. So they had to do quite a lot of work to find me. And then he called me up and said, do you want to be in my new TV show? And I was like, not really. I'm not an actor. Isn't that kind of a prerequisite for this kind of thing? And he's like, no, you are an actor. You just don't know it yet. So
amazing.
I went down there and And then
changed the whole trajectory of the show. I mean, amazing. What would that show have been without you? You were one of the main characters, clearly. Next to Gandolfini. I just seeing you on that screen. By the way, I about every year or so I rewatch the whole series. I binge watch it over a few weekends. You just can't get enough of it. It's phenomenal. I think it'll be part of Americana forever and ever. He is headlining Monmouth, New Jersey 250. The concert is going to be not this Friday. It's now postponed to July 17th. Park Stage at the East Freehold Park Showgrounds. Musician, actor, producer, historian, great New Jerseyan, Stevie Van Zandt, also known as Little Steven. Thank you, sir. It is an honor. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Ken.
You bet. Wow, that's great. That is part of our history right there. When we come back, our friends from AARP New Jersey will talk about the importance of great caregivers. We're back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Ken Rosato at 847, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Another hot one, meteorologist Mike Favetta telling us about the approach of 100 degrees, but it'll even feel warmer than that. Good morning, Mike.
Yeah, it will. It's that humidity that makes it feel like you'll be baking this afternoon. Even in the shade, very warm. You add the sunshine in, it feels even hotter. Now, we take a look at the rainfall that's forecast right through the end of the day on Friday. Really nothing. Until we get to Saturday, that's the best chance of seeing some wet weather there in central New Jersey. And then Sunday, the end of the weekend, is where we start to see some downpours. Could be up to 2 inches at times, especially with those heavier thunderstorms that come through. A quick note on air quality, it says 95 and usually 100 is the threshold to get up to that orange level where it's unhealthy for sensitive groups. I think we'll get there, especially by tomorrow, considering how stagnant the air will be and how warm it will feel. Obviously, the strong UV interacting with the ground pollutants, creating that ground level ozone. And of course, it's also rather dry with that rainfall deficit up to 2 inches now. So the extreme drought limited to the parts of Cape May and Atlantic counties. However, the severe drought extends up through central and even portions of northern New Jersey as the weather remains hot and dry over the next few days. That only worsens going into tomorrow. So we're anywhere from 97 to 100 degrees today, feeling like 100 or greater into tomorrow, with the next 2 weeks looking to be still warm, unusually hot, and also rather dry. It's the short term that's quite dangerous, especially today, tomorrow, going into Thursday and Friday. Saturday sees a high around 100, and then the overnights also are warm into the weekend. But by this weekend, especially Sunday into Monday, that's where we see a lovely cool down that will allow us to reset, refresh, and get the rest of the month of July off on a better note, Ken. At least we can enjoy the outside again, because you can really enjoy when you kind of stick to the leather of your car seat and can't move.
Yeah, nothing like seeing the imprint of your thighs on your leather car seat. Yeah, not nice. All right, Mike, we appreciate you, sir. Go have a good day and stay cool. Much appreciated. 76 degrees right now in northern New Jersey, 77 degrees in Trenton, it's 74 in Cape May, 75 degrees right now in Vineland. And the following is brought to you by our friends at AARP New Jersey. Caregiving touches millions of families, but many caregivers are balancing work, family responsibilities, and the emotional demands of supporting a loved one with little help. The Center for Family Support has spent decades providing services for individuals with developmental and related disabilities while also supporting the family members who care for them every day. Joining us this morning is Alicia McGrath, President and CEO of the Center for Family Support. Alicia, good morning. Thanks for coming on today.
Hey Ken, so nice to meet you. A little in awe of
Nice.
Stevie Van Zandt, I have to say.
Yeah, cool. Look at that. You get to follow Stevie Van Zandt. That's pretty
I know,
cool.
it's amazing.
You're like, Ken does this little local show with Stevie Van Zandt. All right, this is good. This
Incredible.
I love what you do. And I say this now with the experience of I have in my case two elderly parents, 88 and
Mhm.
95, different from people being raised with developmental and emotional disabilities, but nonetheless, they require 24-hour support. And until recently, my brother and I were providing a lot of it. And now we have to have a professional do it. But you're more holistic with the Center for Family Support, aren't you? You help the whole family and all the struggles that they go through. Tell us about the mission and the people you serve.
So the mission is, as you stated, we support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. We provide residential group homes. We're actually in 8 counties in North, Central, and Southern New Jersey. And we also have community-based programs. A lot of families didn't know where to turn. They initially went to DDD, which is the Division of Developmental Disabilities, which is a state authority, and work with a support coordinator to get to us so that we can provide those vital services. Families need respite, they need support, and typically we provide either residential support, could be 24-hour supervised support, or some of these community-based programs. So people can go somewhere during the day to have socialization activities, pre-vocational activities, even get to work. We have one of our individuals who has a job at Stop and Shop. So these types of community inclusion activities are near and dear to our heart.
It's a lot on a family, a family that literally their whole lives for a lot of that time focuses on the individual who needs that support. And sometimes the families just need to, for a moment, try to cut loose and just enjoy their lives. Not that they don't love the individual, but it becomes all encompassing, and your whole life is spent helping that individual. And I'm sure with moms and dads, a lot of the fear is what happens when we're not here anymore. Our loved one who needs the semi-independence, et cetera, and to learn to live in the world. So by providing what you provide, you literally help them to enjoy the individuals. You help them to enjoy a semi-autonomous life.
Absolutely. So I think some of the parents' fears center around the fear that person will not be able to live independently. And that's one of our vital responsibilities to provide support, education, and training to their family members so they're able to be more independent, so they have less fears. Also, knowing that our homes are forever homes. A
Mhm.
lot of families think, what's going to happen when I pass away? Where would my individual, family member, it could be also a sibling, go when I'm no longer here to support them? We provide those supports forever here in New Jersey, as I mentioned, everywhere. In addition, we provide access to different a variety of supports through the sport coordination, and that could mean counseling or other types of supports for the family members. And all the access is done through what we call sort of a case manager to provide the ongoing, support that they need.
What would you say some of the biggest challenges are these days for families caring for a loved one with the developmental and related disabilities today? Is it different today than it was 10 years ago?
I think it's essentially the same. I think that maybe we have more supports now than we ever had. What we're trying to do right now is support the siblings because we know that as parents age and you have aging caregivers, they rely on their siblings to provide that ongoing support. There's also guardianship and supported decision making, different types of trust that can be set up that maybe didn't exist previously in order to provide that ongoing support. We also have the families of the people who actually support them in who are employees. I
Mhm.
also consider them to be caregivers, so we really rely on them.
I'm glad you said that because a lot of people who are caregivers don't identify themselves as such. They just feel it's my responsibility. It's my brother or it's my daughter or whatever. But you are taking away part of your life from work or whatever else you're doing in order to take care of that individual. You are a caregiver, and so you can. And there are resources they could be getting, correct?
Precisely. Typically, when we work with over 225 people here in New Jersey, the video clip I think that's being shown right now of Nick and his mom, she was very concerned that Nick was very isolated and staying home too much and not really engaged in life. And now he has a job with us. He's working at Stop and Shop. He's working closely with staff, but he's also enjoying a lot of other recreational activities, and it's just much more vital. And she's very grateful to us for all the supports that we provided to Nick and feels more hopeful. So these are some of
And
the things that we do at CFS.
I'm sure Nick must love it. Nick is a contributing member of society. He has a job. He must absolutely love getting up with purpose. We all do. Everybody wants to be needed and wanted and have a purpose. And God bless Stop and Shop for providing the job. And Nick just looks happy doing what he does. Are you seeing this more and more that more companies are opening the doors to people who have challenges?
Yes. So I think they recognize the value in having a diverse workforce. And typically, people with intellectual developmental disabilities are very reliable. They're very loyal to the companies and they are great employees. So, we try to educate them about the value of hiring somebody with an intellectual developmental disability. And everybody wins in that scenario. So the employer wins, society wins, the family wins, and certainly the individual wins. Employment is the surest path to developing social capital and having communities. So we try to encourage that whenever possible and when appropriate.
I live part time in Florida, and the grocery chain down there is Publix, a big grocery chain, much like Stop and Shop here. And Publix has literally at every register to help with bagging groceries somebody who is developmentally or emotionally challenged. And it's been that way for decades. They've done this for a long time, and they must have 20 to 30 people per store. employed in that case. And they have hundreds and hundreds of locations. And it's just evidence that these are not throwaways. These are part of our society, these folks. And it's just great that they're taking part. It just says so much. Tell us a website for people to get more information.
Sure. So if you want to reach out to us, it's www.cfsny.org. We're happy to answer any questions, connect to resources, and really grateful for the opportunity and for AARP for providing the segment.
Alicia McGrath, President and CEO for the Center for Family Support. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much, Ken. You take care.
You bet. And thank you for watching On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll see you again bright and early tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. See you then.